Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I haven't done an update in recent weeks for obvious reasons, but I did want to take a minute just to explain. In the last 4 weeks or so, I decided to make an emergency exit from the US, so I packed up my life in the US and put it into storage. I parked my car. I did the same for my son in Texas, and we jumped on a plane. The reason I did that is because I spoke to the Australian Embassy and they told me they were closing the Australian borders at the end of March. I had much trouble to book flights to get out of the US. In the week before we left, our flights were cancelled and rebooked no less than 5 times. So we were lucky to get a flight out of San Francisco on the 27th of March. So it's a long flight back from the US to Australia, long haul flight. It's a 14-hour flight, San Fran to Sydney. But time-wise, you actually land in Australia 2 days later. So we left San Fran on the 27th of March. We arrived in Sydney, Australia on the 29th. That's traveling across the time zone. I love it. Okay, so when we arrived in Australia, March 29, we were required to go into government-mandated quarantine. So what that meant is that the hundreds of passengers that were on that flight, along with every other flight that entered Australia beginning midnight March 28, so we were amongst the first to be put into government-mandated quarantine. Currently, apparently, there's about 4,500 people in Australia that are in government-mandated quarantine. Anyway, we were one of the first flights to be ushered off. When we got off the aeroplane, we were met with healthcare workers in full protective gear. They took our temperature. I actually had a temperature, and so they ushered me off into a secondary station. Now, luckily, my temperature came down within 10 minutes. I think I was just nervous and I had too many layers on from being in the aeroplane. And so, okay, so they let us go back and join the main stream of people. We collected our luggage. We went through customs as usual. And then the border force team personnel, they ushered us off into buses. So they were very good about the social distancing. They made sure that we kept our distance from each other throughout this whole process. And even on the buses, a full bus was only about 10 people. So there was many, many buses. And these buses made a convoy from the Sydney International Airport into the city. And it took hours, but they dropped us off at various hotels, 5-star hotels. I'm at the Hilton, so I'm talking to you today from the Hilton in central Sydney. This is day 10 of 14. I've been live tweeting all the time. Did a radio interview in the first few days with River FM. Hey, Campo. I've been very positive about the experience most of the time. I got a bit cranky with the hotel management yesterday because they had construction going on 6 floors above, and I'm still working into US I'm still teaching online. So what time is it at the moment? It's like 5:30 in the morning here in Australia. 5:50 at the moment. So I've been up since 3 a.m. doing online teaching. Anyway, the Hilton management thought it was a good idea to continue with their construction. I got cranky at them yesterday. But apart from that, I've tried to be very positive about this experience. I mean, there's been lots of bad media, as in people like me and my son, my 24-year-old son is here with me. People that are in quarantine like me have claimed that it's worse than being a prisoner. Well, it's a 5-star room. It's very comfortable. We're not allowed outside. We're not allowed any visitors. There are guards on each floor, but we've only got 4 days to go. I can order an Uber Eats if I want to. I can order alcohol from the hotel if I want to. So, yeah, there are negatives and it's not optimal, but we've got it pretty good. And to those people who claim that it's prisoner-like or worse than prisoner-like conditions, my response is, well, I'm pretty sure that somebody who is an asylum seeker in detention would willingly swap places, as would somebody who's homeless and sleeping rough on the streets. They would willingly take your worse than prisoner-like conditions. And similarly, any prisoner would accept these conditions willingly, I think, because we'll be out in 4 days. Okay, so this is my world of academe at the moment. Academe is an international career. I'm Australian. My career is in the US. I'm very lucky that I still have a job and that I am able to teach online from Australia into the US. Many of my students are French and have returned home to France. I have, committee meetings where I'm Zooming in with somebody from not only France and the US, but Brazil, South Africa, and other European countries, and me in Australia. So, yeah, it's kind of bizarre. This whole global pandemic thing is kind of bizarre. Even this recording that I'm doing, I'm usually very careful about my background view. Today, I do not care. You can see my suitcase over my shoulder there. No, the care factor just kind of drops out, doesn't it? I do not feel I'm able to write in these circumstances, but I'm looking forward to being able to go for a walk in the sun, and I'm pretty sure that will reinvigorate my writing motivation. But for now, I say au revoir from quarantine in Sydney. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, bye.